I am so sick. Not so sick, that's a lie. First of all, I'm an over exaggerator when it comes to me being sick. I will fully admit it.
Right.
I am a big baby when I'm sick. So like it's not even that bad. Honestly, I took some turmeric and because someone was like, "Oh, if you take turmeric, it'll help with inflammation in your stomach." And I'm like, "Okay, bet. Let's do some turmeric. Let's get some turmeric in our lives." And I first of all, it tasted terrible in the smoothie. Don't put it in your smoothie ever. But I'm guessing that like I put way too much in it and it's just like not it does not like me right now. Um so the turmeric, I'm guessing like ran through my system and basically triggered any bad thing that was in my body. And now we're just here. We're just suffering through turmeric getting out, like trying to cleanse my system. And that happens when I was in the Navy. They did that. When I was in the Navy, they give you like this live virus so that you don't get sick, but it makes you sick. Ironically, I still got sick. But they give you like this live virus to make you not get sick because when you're in close quarters, you're more likely to get sick. And some of you are going to be like, that's crazy. I can't believe they do that. Welcome to the military. Honestly, I'm not telling any secret. You can look it up on anybody's YouTube. That's what I did when I first joined. I looked up a whole bunch of YouTubes so I can know exactly what to expect when I was joining. I was not about to be unprepared. Not me. Not I. Yeah, no. That was never gonna happen for me. If you know me, you know. Uh, but yeah, so I think that's what happened with the turmeric. I'm pretty sure. Today's smoothie definitely does not have it. It has my spirulina. Spirulina for the win. Highly recommend 100%. All right, but let's get into it. This episode is brought to you by Claimed & Co., a full-service digital marketing and social media agency built for future-focused brands. Born in Detroit and serving clients worldwide, Claim & Co. helps founders and business owners turn bold ideas into powerful online presence. Whether it's social media management, email marketing, or high-level brand strategy, they're not just posting content, they're building momentum. And if you're not quite ready to hire an agency yet, start with their CMO audit. This is the deep dive, the let's figure out what's actually going on moments. Claimed & Co. will audit your entire online presence and give you clear, strategic recommendations before you invest another dollar in marketing. It's normally $497, but listeners of this show get 50% off because clarity shouldn't feel out of reach. With 19 years of marketing experience and 7 years leading Claimed & Co., they know what it takes to build brands that last. If you're a founder, business owner, or a woman ready to elevate your personal brand and create a healthier, wealthier business and life, this is your sign. Visit Claim & Co. and take your first strategic step forward. Hey, Unbothered fam, and welcome back to another episode of basically Unbothered Recap. You guys got 2 episodes this week. First episode, we recapped the American Next Top Model documentary. So if you haven't had a chance to go listen to that, definitely check it out. It was fun. I was not in my best. I'm so critical of myself. I was not in my best zone and I didn't do it from the office. I did it from home. And I kind of feel like when I'm not in the office and I don't have my full setup and I don't have my teas and I'm not sitting in my comfy chair with a pink blanket, I'm just not in my best life. So I feel like when I'm here, I'm more in my zone. But I do think that I was able to really look at things critically from the American Next Top Model documentary. I'm not going to give you guys too much into that. Um, because I really truly want you guys to listen to it and have that kind of authentic experience, and also marketing, plug a plug. Plug use one episode to plug another episode. So I'm so excited for that. I really enjoyed watching the documentary. I was so happy I got to watch the documentary with my mom. That was a fun experience because my mom and I, we used to watch America's Next Top Model together. And for us to get to see and analyze this documentary together was a thing that I'm very excited that we got to do. I'm so, so happy. And even though I feel like it wasn't my best, I am happy with the outcome. Not the video outcome though, because I don't know, the same camera that's on my desktop Mac is on my MacBook. And for some reason, that camera is just not connecting and it's being really, really fuzzy. And I have no idea why. And I hate it. Having to record on that, I hate it. I hate it so much. But what's a baby to do? A baby's gonna do what a baby's gonna do. Regardless, I am very proud of it. As you guys heard, I'm getting a little sick. So if you see me drink tea more than usual, it's because I'm fighting off that. Luckily for me, I own my own tea business. So I just make my own teas. The blend I was drinking earlier was what I named Winter Morning. And uh it's definitely rosemary. I think it's rosemary, mint, and eucalyptus. And it's supposed to kind of give you the tingles. I already finished a whole entire like pot of that, and now I'm on to another pot, and this one is jasmine green tea and mint. Mint is so good for when you're feeling sick. I actually wanted to add some like cinnamon to it, so I might do that after we record if I'm still here. But I'm also supposed to go hang out with somebody. What? I don't know how y'all keep getting me to be social. How does this keep happening? Because y'all know I'm antisocial. I literally want to go to bed and lay in my bed all day and watch Rizzoli and Isles because that's my new binge right now, Rizzoli and Isles, and that's what I want to do. I've been ignoring that. I've been like watching that, and then I have to be like, oh my gosh, I have to watch these TV shows and other things that I want to get on to the podcast. So it's been quite interesting. I'm also in the works of a special project for Basically Unbothered. And I'm also in the works for a special project for Basically Unbothered Recap. And I can't wait to be able to announce this to you guys and get some hype up and get some excitement going on. It's it's gonna be I cannot wait. I did announce, oh, I forgot to watch Scrubs, guys. I wanted to watch it and come on here. And I said I wasn't going to talk about it much, but I just wanted to rave about it, but I completely forgot to watch Scrubs. So I have to watch it and then let you know. My dad was so cute. He was like, do you want me to record it? And I'm like, I have Hulu. I can't tell you the last time I've watched TV, like television, on a television network that wasn't through Hulu or some other thing. I sitting down and watching TV. TV is I'm a millennial. I'm a product of my environment. I've also been loved seeing all of the love for Hillary Duff. I'm currently listening to her interview with Call Her Daddy. I'm I'm trying to get in a better place to bang her album. I hear that it's really good, although I haven't heard so much about it, but that's probably because she's not on the spectrum that I am on. But I'm loving listening to her podcast with Call Her Daddy because it's giving insight. I am excited to get to the part where she talked about her sister. It was actually going to be the pettier facts for the episode I just recorded, but we didn't have enough time. But Hilary Duff has made a comment about her struggle with her family. So this ties into a whole bunch of podcasts back when we talked about the mom talk drama that wasn't The Secret Life of Mormon Wives, although that's coming soon. Don't worry. That wasn't The Secret Lives of Mormon Wives. And that involved like Ashley Tisdale, and Ashley Tisdale kind of ousting these moms or trying to oust these moms as being toxic moms in a mom group. And Hillary Duff was one of them. Annie Moore was one of them. people who are as celebrities are pretty unproblematic. And then Ashley Tisdale is seen out with Lizzie McGuire's, wow, Hilary Duff's older sister. And they're seen out and about. If you want to go out, my candle's out. Sorry. they they've been seen hanging out. And it's been a fact that it's been known that Hilary Duff is estranged from her family. So on a previous interview, she had a conversation. She says, family family isn't always made up by blood, and as much as it hurts, sometimes you have to separate yourself from your blood family members because you're just not on the same paths. And that is something that resonates with so many people, because a lot of us, especially in this new era where being Democrat and being Republican means so many different things now, specifically Republican, there's such a different connotation attached to it. And we're in such polarizing times that it is literally splitting up families. And, I can't say whether that's the reason why she's feeling like this or if there's another reason, but there's lots of conversations about breaking up with your family or going no contact or going limited contact with your family. And it's becoming more and more prevalent simply because it's becoming more and more needed. And as we know and as we grow, we learn about our energy and how much energy do you want to give to people who hurt you, even if they are family. Sometimes families can be the most detrimental people to you, you know? Sometimes family can do you the dirtiest. As sad as that is to say, as hard as that is to deal with, that is the truth. Sometimes family is your biggest enemy. And I wish that that wasn't the case for her, but shit, like things happen. And I'm really excited to get into that part of Call Her Daddy. I love that Call Her Daddy gives these platforms for people to talk about things. Call Her Daddy is I there's 2 chicks in the office and Call Her Daddy who I keep in the back of my mind when I'm doing basically Unbothered the OG, and when I'm interviewing people, when I'm talking to people and trying to provide people a place and a space to talk about what matters to them and feel safe in that, and that is something that I definitely see in Call Her Daddy. And that's one of the projects that I'm gonna be working on, and I will give you more information soon. Like I said, I'm waiting on some details to come back from a couple of different people. You might see somebody come back from one of a previous podcast episode to have like a special edition. Oof, you guys, I can't wait. But we're gonna leave that in the past, and we're gonna get into our topic, our show. Quick pause, because if you love dark stories that don't flinch, Olympic War isn't a soft love story. It's violent, it's chosen, and it costs everything. Through war, betrayal, and survival, Moonstone fights for devotion that refuses to die. This is a Black, multicultural dystopian series about power, sacrifice, and what rises from the ashes. Olympic War and Phoenix War. Read them wherever books are sold. All right, Unbothered fam, let's talk taxes for a second because I am very particular about one thing. I like to get my taxes done early and out of the way so I can be stress free for the rest of the year. No last minute panic, no scrambling, no vibes being ruined. That's why I want to put my unbothered fans onto SSB Legacy Tax Services, LLC. Samantha is a small business tax professional whose whole focus is getting you the maximum refund while making the process clear and easy. She also offers cash advances up to $7,500, $75 referral bonuses, and actually takes the time to educate you so you know what's happening with your money. And because we are all unbothered together, I'm going to give you an in. If you text unbothered to 586 345 1055, you will receive $50 off your tax prep fees. Early, easy, stress free, just how we like it. was gonna say the show of the week, but we have 2 shows this week, so the show-ish of the week, and that is Love is Blind Ohio. Part B. It's been chaotic. There's been points where this show has been truly, absolutely boring to me. Absolutely boring. Like, I there's parts of Love is Blind that I just don't care for, that I know a lot of people probably love, like the wedding dress shopping scene. I'm just kinda like, I can skip past this. I don't really need this part. Some of the final dates or, some of the things I'm just like, I don't want this. And it adds value. You get to see, but it just feels so fake, right? Because you see them go wedding dress shopping and they're telling their boys or they're telling their girls, oh my gosh, I'm so in love with this man, yada, 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 yada. And they're playing a game. And then when you see the final wedding, they walk away and you're like, what the fuck? And that's the same thing with their, like, bachelor, bachelorette night. It gets so confusing. So, today we're gonna cover the honeymoon, them existing in a real world, and the chaos that was the night out. Now, I'm leaving out the last episode that just dropped, and I will be watching the final episode, which is the wedding episode, and that episode in conjunction because those just go together well. I'm pretty sure the wedding episode is going to be 2 episodes. I hate the wedding episode the most because they spend so much time just blabbering about nothing. And I'm just like, give me the goods. Do they get married or don't they get married? Let me know. I'm also very known for skipping to see if they get married or not, and then deciding if I want to watch the rest of it. Because I just want to know. I don't like the anticipation. I'm not a patient person. I just want the goods. Give me the information. But that's going to be coming next week. This week, we're tackling the honeymoon, them in the real world with their apartment, meeting families, and then the craziness of the night out as a group is going to end. So we get into the honeymoon, and one of the first things that happens is they say, and I think I mentioned this for Love is Blind Ohio Part A, is that they said that the couples, 6 couples went to Cabo, 1 couple went to Los Angeles, Malibu, I think it was. And I've been scrolling the interwebs, and from what I've heard, that they went to Cabo or they went to Malibu, Vic and Christine, because they didn't have enough money to send everybody into Cabo. So one of the biggest criticisms that Love is Blind got back was that they don't follow every couple. And I think in this, they were trying to follow every couple or more couples. So normally they have 5 or 6 couples that they follow, but this time they're following 7. And apparently, even though this is a widely popular show, they don't have the budget. Je ne sais. It's not, it's, I don't know. That makes sense. And they also said that they picked this couple because they were the least drama. And through this part B of Love is Blind, you can definitely see that they're just not giving drama. They're having really beautiful, eloquent conversations. They're broadcasting to you what a communicative relationship could look like. And so obviously they weren't going to give us the tea. Even though, let me tell you, this honeymoon, when they do the kind of group meetup for the honeymoon, was just whatever. So let's actually l- let's talk about the group meetup first. So it was really underwhelming. Usually, honestly, I would say that Bree kind of called it out a lot. It Usually there's people pulling aside for conversations and being like, "Oh my gosh, this is my connection. This is my connection." And there's more to it, but there really wasn't. And although Bree's feelings of wanting a deeper connection and wanting a deeper conversation didn't feel good to even for me. I was like, "Ooh, this isn't great." I also understand that you make these connections with people and then you're just expected to give it up. And how the fuck are you supposed to manage that? How are you have to learn how to separate those things. And that's hard for some people. Some people can just disconnect, and some people, when they're fully in with more than one person, it's hard for them. None of that happened though in this group meet. honestly, the most worthwhile thing was that while the men were comparing what was good about the women and what was bad about the women, in contrast, were not doing that. They were just gassing up the men. They were just talking about how happy they are, how good they are. I definitely didn't like when Connor said that Bree just won't shut the fuck up, and I was just like, "Ooh, okay, this is what we're doing. Okay, whatever." That wasn't my. I didn't like it, but outside of that, the group meet was uneventful. Nice to see everybody link up, but uneventful. I will say that there was a moment where Alex got to see Brittany, and he started kind of being a little awkward about that. And he started talking about the dark features and how he's so into someone and how Brittany would have normally been his type. And I'm like, Alex, you have a bad bitch on your arm. Shut the fuck up. But we'll get into more of that as we analyze each kind of couple while they were on their honeymoon. I would say the couple that struggled the most on the honeymoon was definitely Devontae and Brittany. It was brought up more than once that Brittany is a woman of color and that Devontae has never dated a woman of color. And I saw a creator on TikTok clock this and was like, "Sir, you yourself are a man of color. So what do you mean? People be coming for me when I say shit. But what do you mean you've never dated within one of your own races? What?" And so you could tell that that was something that originally caused a pause in said relationship. But I did love how they were focusing on the connection and not sex. I love that when everyone else is getting it on and talking about it. Brittany's like, it'll come. I want to make sure the next person that I do this with is the person that's going to be in my life forever. And I'm going to tell you, absolutely, I feel it. I love the hanky pank. I love the hanky pank, but also I realized how much engaging in that action takes away from your own energy and clouds your judgment, and you're not able to see the relationship fully. And for me, I feel the same. I mean, mine's also coming from a bit of trauma, but for me, I'm also feeling the same way. Like, I don't want to do this, whatever this is. No, until I can feel, and obviously I'm still going to make mistakes, but I'm not engaging until we're engaged. Probably not that while I love that part, Devontae was clearly disengaged with Brittany. And it was so weird because Brittany is so pretty. She is gorgeous. She is stunning. And he is just not interacting with her, not loving up on her as everybody else is doing a honeymoon. And he's being very distant and, physically abandoning her. Even when you watch him hug her, he's distant. And I wrote in my notes, he's giving ill because I don't like when people are like emotionally unavailable. Something I dated, I'm not doing again. But Brittany made a point like, we are engaged. Like, this is something that we should be all over each other. We should be connecting with each other. And while she's, sitting him down and having this conversation closer to the end of them getting ready to leave, he's catastrophizing her feelings. And instead of just sitting and listening to them, he's just blowing them out. And I get that we do that because what someone's saying to us isn't necessarily what we're hearing. And that changes the aspect of it. But it's clear that when he struggles, he shuts down and he shuts her out. And I understand, his grandfather, and you forget his grandfather passed away while he was in the pods, and he's probably out of that and having to deal with that. And that must be really hard. But when you're in a relationship, you do have to figure out how to connect with the other person. And so I love how in the end they kind of came together, but it still didn't feel like what it should. And you could tell that Brittany, when he came in and he was trying to reconcile, that Brittany was just not into it. It was really sad to see her just cry in his arms. Next is Mike and Emma. There wasn't a lot about them. There was Mike talking about how he doesn't like how Emma is untidy. Their date was so cool though. They did a tightrope pedaling date, like a bike on a tightrope. And future husbands, future significant others, future boyfriends, plural. We're gonna do that. That should look cool. That should look like so much fun. Even though they were an uneventful kind of couple during this thing, one of the biggest topics, and it's going to be a big topic forever, and I truly think it's going to be the thing that the reason why either she doesn't marry him or he doesn't marry her is kids. And it just keeps coming up. And it goes back to what I said last week about how, like, you can't pressure women into do it. You can't praise women into doing it. Like, they either want to do it or not. And like, sometimes we have to respect that and let it be. But I get wanting a family. I really, truly do. I also want to reiterate that women are not like cash cows. We're not here to just provide you kids. We have so much more to give. And I hope that he can see that. But I do think it's going to be the thing that breaks them up. Next is Connor and Bree. I didn't like that he was complaining about her talking in a group meet, but I also didn't like that Bree was focused on other people while she should have been really focused on Connor. I did like how Connor handled it. I did like that, he said, "Oh, I'm going to have my insecurities, but I've made these mistakes in other relationships. And the one thing I want to do is kind of know that that's what you need and to put my ego aside and try to just give space for what you need." I don't know why she needs this, but I don't think it's in our place to know why she needs this, but it's very clear that she does. It does feel like maybe she wants closure, but it also feels like a little bit of insecurity. Maybe she just kind of wants to know why or needs to understand or feels a little off put that someone that she did spend all this time with was someone who wasn't giving her as much time or attention or whatever that she wanted. That is something that maybe it could be she might be having a hard time letting go, but that was what was going on with them. I still did love her interactions. I didn't Brie was not my favorite on the honeymoon, but her and Connor do make sense together. Um, Chris and Jessica, they were also pretty uneventful on the honeymoon. Chris seemed a little bit off. Everything seemed a little bit off. But outside of that, there wasn't much to note. Same thing with Jordan and Amber. They were super cute together. Everyone kept saying they're perfect together. They seem perfect together. And I love them. They're one of my favorite couples. Then we get to Alex and Ashley, who also was kind of eventful, but it was just kind of awkward because once again, we're talking about what we prefer over the women that we have. And Alex has a beautiful woman in front of him and he goes, "I like dark features more." And I'm just like, oh my gosh. And it was very clear that he was into Brittany when they were sitting down and having a conversation. He was taking digs at Devontae. And these men taking digs at other men is like, they're supposed to be your boys. This is why they're supposed to be your boys. And what you're doing is taking a dig at them because you want to get with the girl, but then you're going to go back to your boy's face and you'll be like, oh my gosh. And he did that. He goes back to his face and he's lying and he's like, "Oh, you and Brittany, you guys are such a cute couple." Even though he was insinuating that him and Brittany, off the bat, him and Brittany should leave their partners and be together. And you're just like, where is this audacity? I'm gonna call it mendacity. Mendacity. Where's this mendacity? Oh, I like that. Where is this mendacity that you have to off the rip insinuate that you guys need to break up with your significant others that you just got engaged to and then get with you? If you don't get the fuck out, if you don't, sir, if you don't find the closest exit to the left, please and thank you, kindly see yourself out. It was just too much. But then lying to Ashley about it, Alex does this thing, and you'll notice it through the episodes where he just talks. And that's such a big fucking tell. Like, he over explains everything because he's trying to overcompensate for the fact that either he doesn't know what he's talking about or he's telling a lie. And ooh, it irks me. Ooh, it irks me. I want this man off my screen. I say this a lot. I want this man off my screen. It just irks me that he's lying, lying to Ashley and just over explaining or whatever. And Ashley's so sweet. She's just sitting there. It's like, and one of the things that you'll note though is Ashley takes it all in. I'm pretty sure that Ashley's going to be the one to walk away. She just takes it all in. She's here for the experiment. And every time he says something to her that doesn't track, she just goes, okay. And he'll get really upset about it. And she'll just be like, okay. But the part that was diabolical of this man was that he lies to Ashley. He hits on Brittany. He insinuates that Brittany and him should dump the others and get together. And then when he's talking to Ashley, he says, Devontae and Brittany have work to do. They're the ones I think that have the most work to do. Of course you do, because you want to get in Brittany's pants. Of course you think you have them. The fuck? Poor Ashley. You can tell that she instinctively feels something. And that is, you can tell that through the rest of part B, that she instinctively feels something and she keeps not listening to it. And I'm going to tell you, as a girl who did not listen to my intuition, don't do that. I'm gonna take a word out of Amber's mouth. It's fuck these men. Don't ever ignore your intuition for a man. Don't ever. Now, if you're coming from a place of fear, that's different. But do not ever in your life ignore your intuition for a man, especially if that man is Alice, because that man is lying. That man is lying. That man is trying to be a con man. Diabolical. Then we leave the honeymoon. The big leave of the honeymoon was Devontae and Brittany's kind of fight. But we leave the honeymoon and we get into the real world. And this is where they start to see their families. They start to see each other's places. Some people's places are crazy. Connor's place, what the fuck? Some of these men are living like straight. Jordan's place, what the fuck? Y'all are living like straight bachelors. Sir, get a real headboard. Put some, I love my father, but my father's apartment is also kind of like a bachelor pad. And it's just like, get some decor. Let's have things match. You know, throw pillows, get a curtain, something. And you can tell that these men are just existing and they're happy. I'm a man life. But first, we're going to talk about Vic and Christine. So, first, they meet Christine's mom and they connect. You know, like I said before, Vic and Christine kind of trauma bond, and you hear more about this with their own experiences with both of their fathers. And this is something that they talk about with Christine's mom. Christine's mom seems pretty cool, but one of the things outside of that they're bonding over is faith. And this is actually something that I think is a pillar in having a successful relationship, potentially, is bonding over faith. And I don't think that it has to be, but I think if your faith is something that's so significant and important to you, then you need to have some that feels the same way, because it won't be understood, right? I'm not going to have a partner that's super religious, because as much as I appreciate their difference, I'm never going to understand. You're going to want to pray at dinner. I'm going to be like, what the fuck is wrong? I don't want to do this at all. And one of us is going to feel like we have to acquiesce to another one, and that creates problems. So watching them connect over faith was beautiful to see. Again, they're pretty uneventful. Learned that apparently I wasn't paying attention to the professions under their names, but Vic is a PhD doctor professor. Pop off king, pop off king. And he's also very aware of his blackness and what that means for them. So this is a topic of discussion that I love, where we're talking about what how does it look? You know, Christine is going to be a biracial mom. What is that going to be like? You know, she asked Vic if he was nervous about her being a mother of his kids because of that. And they're so cute together, because he's like, no, I just want you to be you. I love you as you. And, you know, she was very aware and said, you know, she's aware that she's going to be a biracial mom, and she feels a disconnect already and a discomfort, because there's parts of being black that she'll never get to experience. And I love the acknowledgement of that. There's parts that non people of color will never get to experience, and that's lucky. I mean, and vice versa, right? But we're talking about marginalized communities. And she acknowledges that and she says that that makes her feel sad because there's a part of her daughter that or her son that she'll never be able to connect to. And feeling unsure about not fully be able to relate to her kids, that's that's beautiful. It was interesting though. Christine was nervous to show her hometown because she's very insecure about that because she came from a more country kind of place. And I definitely understand that and I feel for her because that is hard. You know, we all have our insecurities and being afraid to show someone where you come from is to me a very valid one. So heard, understood, I got it. We're gonna hit on Devontae and Brittany. They seemed better when they got into their rhythm. They seemed better. They met Brittany's parents. You her family is so cool and so warm and so welcoming, and he got to have this big talk with her dad, and you could see how much her dad loves her and how much she probably went through and struggled and her family's had to witness on her behalf. And you know, her father said, "This, you know, we don't believe in divorce. This is something that when you commit for life." And I love the fathers during this time and seeing how they were so protective of their daughters and so ready to make sure that their daughters are with someone. I think, you know, there's always going to be a special bond between father and daughter, and getting to see that on the screen with these men makes me really happy to see. They but they're still struggling through they're doing better, but they're still struggling through connecting. But the conversation that they had about the struggle through connection was beautiful. And, you know, not Brittany obviously starts it and, you know, saying that she still feels this way. And what I loved was Devonte opening up about it more and saying, well, actually, when you do this, it makes me wanna shut down and I wanna be here for you, but my immediate response is this, and I'm gonna need to work on it. And Brittany's saying, "You know what? You're right. I need to work on not doing this either." And them just both taking accountability. That's one of the, like, pillars that you see people talk about in a successful relationship, in a successful marriage, is taking accountability and it not being you versus the other person, but you guys fighting that problem together. And this was something that they displayed. And the cuteness of Devante complimenting her, and it was so adorable. I love how Brittany is aware of what her love language is. And although for some people that may read as insecurity, and it might be a little bit, being able to communicate what your love language is and what you need and what you don't need is very important. And not feeling afraid that the other person is going to judge you or make a comment about that about you is important. So to me, I feel more confident in them, but you never know. Love is blind, but it's better. With Mike and Emma, they were butting heads over little quirks. They just seem a little, they seem like they get along well and fine and that they could be really best friends, but they feel a little mismatched to me. The kids comes up, meeting Mike's family um was rough. His family was very, you know, was very Italian, and his mom kind of correcting and being more maybe like a traditional Italian mom might be, you know, commenting on how she says things, or it's not it's not a sauce, just a gravy, and you know things like that. It seemed a little bit nitpicky, but it was clear at the end of it, even though they were being a little hard on Emma for being different. And honestly, their family was very much on Emma, do you want to have kids? While Emma's family was very much on, you know, Alex, are you okay with never having kids? Both families went to bat for each other. And regardless if I like things or not, you can always appreciate that. But when they calmed down, it got really sweet. And when they listened to her adoption story and they kind of heard her, you know, everything, her having all of the birthmarks that had a high chance of melanoma, they were a lot better with it. With her family, kids came up again, but in reverse. They were, you know, very protective again of Emma and how she's never really been vocal about having kids. And, you know, she mentions I don't know what's going to happen. I don't know what my kid's life will look like. I don't know. All of these things are a factor that I'm not really sure about. And for those reasons, and maybe other things, and I love how her sister was like the person who has kids, but's open and said, there's a life outside of it. People think that this is just your life, but when you have kids, everybody talks about wanting them. But when you have them, it comes with a sacrifice. And not everybody is ready and willing to make that sacrifice, even though they think that they are. And so many people are disillusioned into this life of being a parent, and then they can't handle it when they actually have to be one. So I love those conversations and the honesty about how kids affect your life. I just don't see them lasting. I just don't. I wish I did, because Emma is the sweetest thing ever, but I just don't. Connor and Bree, they are connecting better. Connor's house was atrocious. He had a keg. He had Christmas decorations. His house was very bachelor pad, but I think Bree could have chilled out on the complaining. She was very, very critical. I did like how when they were making dinner together, she kind of was like, "You're being a little fussy." And instead of her doubling down and being like, "No, I'm not. You should just," she was like, "You're right. I am. I'm sorry. I apologize. Let me restart this conversation." I appreciated that she knows that she can be a little bit critical and nitpicky and that she's working on it, but she is really critical and nitpicky at Connor. And maybe Connor likes it. Maybe that's for him. I don't know. It couldn't be me. It does feel like it could be a little toxic, but it also could feel like maybe that's her personality and he's okay with that. And that's just their little banter. But they get to Bree's house. Bree's house is so cute. Bree's house is so freaking cute, guys. I love Bree's house. There's no way that they could do anything but stay at Bree's house. They have to live at Bree's house. There's no other option. He had a keg. A keg. They gotta leave it. Her house is so beautiful and well organized, and I would love to live there. If Connor doesn't want to live there, Bree, then I gotta move to Ohio. Bree, come move to Grand Rapids, because she's from Grand Rapids, and let's hang out. I did love when they met Bree's family. It was super cool to get to see. I did love when they met Connor's family too, and Connor's family was giving him. And I think maybe that's why he takes it from Bree, because his family is also like, yeah, we told him the Christmas tree and the keg and everything is crazy. They were on her side, and I was like, heard. And his dad said something like, how do we pay her to do this? But I did love when they got to see her when she came to Michigan, because I'm from Michigan, and they went to University of Michigan, boop boop, and they got to see her family. That part wasn't recorded as much, but Brie, come move back to Grand Rapids. I'll live in your house with you. I promise. I love cute houses. I'm a great non-paying roommate. I swear. Then we get to Chris. You see how my whole body shift? Chris's place was nice. Let's look at the positives, guys. Chris's place was nice, for sure. He definitely had a nice place, and love that for him. That's a plus. They also, a plus was they were vibing about how they don't want kids. Again, I love it when we can connect this way. Jessica's house is also big and adorable and super freaking cute too. Either one of them. Honestly, Jessica's house was super cute. Bree's house was super cute. Brittany's house was super cute. Ashley's house was all their houses gorgeous. Come live with me. I'll live with you. But it's huge and it's adorable. And then you remember that Jessica's a doctor. Okay. There's a lot of snakes in it, which Chris made a comment about. But her house is a dream. I would love to live there more than I would love to live at Bree's house. But house was a dream. But that's it. Those are the only compliments I have, because after that, the relationship starts to get gross. And then we start to get into this conversation that Chris has with Jessica. And it's been all over TikTok. So I know that you guys have seen it, because he talks about how he's unattracted to her because she doesn't work out every day. And she's a doctor. Like, as Amber said, you think you can pull another hot doctor? She's a doctor. And she's working all the time. And he's criticizing her. And he brought up Pilates a lot. And he went a Pilates girl. As a growing Pilates girl, you can't handle them. Also, Pilates is not synonymous with super, because you talk about like hard bodies. Pilates is not synonymous with that. Working out in general isn't synonymous with that. People's fit looks different on everyone. And for him to just kind of criticize her body like that was just gross. And also him, when she's like, if you have something to say or whatever, can you just text me? Him be like, I don't text. You don't relationship. It's not that you don't text, it's that you don't fucking relationship at all. You don't do anything that's needed to relationship at all. You just want to be disengaged and say fucking less, do less, leave. When we start talking about his body, and he admits that he's thinking about his number 2, which is Bree, because of her body and because he feels her as more attractive, and the way he sees it is she works out more and blah, 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 blah. And he wishes that he picked Bree. And he says this to her. And my response is, he's a douchebag. He tells her he doesn't find her attractive and says that he still wants to have fun. Poor Jessica. He did his, as Love Island said, he did his big one. And my favorite thing is about how Jessica doesn't engage. She doesn't argue. She doesn't yell. She doesn't do whatever. She just says, okay, I need to go home. I'm done with this. And he is besides himself. Then he starts telling people how she couldn't take what he was saying and he's so honest and yada, yada, yada. And it's just so gross. You were being a douchebag. And then you're trying to play hurt, like, because she left you because you were being a douchebag. But you straight up told her that you preferred another woman and you wanted another woman and you wished you pursued it with another woman. What the fuck do you? Y'all just want women to sit there and take the abuse. Like, this is crazy shit going on my screen. Let me just tell you. He was an ill. I'm glad that Jessica left. I can't, I truly cannot believe a man would stoop that low. And this thing about preference, like, we all have preferences. I love light eyes. That's ooh, ask somebody about me and light eyes. That is definitely my preference. But I've dated people who don't have pretty eyes. I've dated people outside of a lot of different things. Just because someone's not your preference doesn't mean that, one, they're not good for you, or two, they're not gorgeous. And his big fixation on her physical body and blaming her for why they're not having sex and saying he doesn't want to touch her because her body's too soft. You don't want a woman. I saw somebody say this. You don't want a woman, you want a man. That part. All right. Jordan and Amber. Jordan also has a bachelor pad. I also loved Amber's house. She redid it herself. Amber's the one who has a kid. And so she talks about how she had a house and she had to buy it for cheap because she was pregnant and she didn't know what to do. And she just redid it. And that's something I wish that I could have finished in my house. I did do a lot of it in my house, but then everything just kind of got away from me. And I love seeing someone else get to do that and live that. In her house is absolutely gorgeous. Jordan gets to meet her brother and they talk a little bit about the family and what is he going to do? How is he going to handle that Amber has a kid? And he does meet the father of Amber's child, Emma, and apparently that went well. But this is where things start to become a problem because they start getting into it over his fight over fears after the night out. They got into a fight over his fear about, am I going to be a good father? Or, this is overwhelming. But I love the way that they handled it. And this is why I say some things need space. A lot of people question me and they're like, why are you walking away? And not everything needs to be discussed in that moment, because in that moment you can't see things clearly and you can't hear things clearly. And the fact that she just shut down, to some people would be like, oh no, that's terrible. And she could have handled that a lot better. She could have just said, you know what? Not right now. Give me a day. And I definitely felt Jordan's anxiety over it, because I would have felt the same way, like, oh my gosh, what is happening? Did I do something wrong? Is she going to break up with me? And Amber felt the same way, and them connecting over that was them having a conversation about it and connecting over it and being real and raw. Although I kind of suspect that that fight might have been a little orchestrated because she was just smiling. That whole time, guys, she was just a smiling away. And I was like, something's up here. But I would say, guys, my notes on Alex and Ashley are if Devontae was the couple in the honeymoon, Devontae and Brittany that had the most issues. Obviously, Chris has his issues, but they're not a couple anymore. Alex and Ashley, the first thing you get to see for the most part is them meeting Ashley's family. And Ashley's dad was grilling this man who said he was a lawyer, that he was not letting up. He put his foot on a pedal and he said, let's go. And he kind of clocked him. He clocked him about a couple of things. The fact that his math about his grandparents' marriage and when they got, you know, when they died, when they passed away, wasn't adding up. And he's just like, I saw a video, someone saying he's setting up, he's a human lie detector. He's setting up asking normal questions before he gets to the big stuff. And once again, you hear Alex over explaining, over talking, and then he lies to her whole family about being tired of moving and wanting to settle down while he's having conversations with Ashley about how he wants to move and move and move. He started talking about how he's day trading and all these things that he's done, and everyone's just looking like, you were just, what's your job? What is your job? One of the parts I hated the most was then his dad asked him, who do you vote for? And he said, I didn't vote, but I would have voted for you know who. And I'm just like, that would have been the moment I would have popped out of my seat and been like, and we're done. And now this is officially over for us. How do we exit stage left? Like, how do we get this to end? That was not how she handled it, but I guarantee you 10 toes down, this would have been how I handled it. How do I leave? At the end of the day, the family was a little bit nicer. They were super sweet about Ashley. They're so love. And Ashley's dad was like, I don't trust him. Fair, because he tells her dad that he wants to settle, but he tells Ashley that he wants to be a nomad. And that's just crazy. Also, he keeps talking about how they should leave Ohio. But why would you sign up for Love is Blind Ohio and then immediately want to leave Ohio? Sir. Then we get to the whole period conversation. Baffling. The amount of things that men don't know about women's body is baffling, yet they want to control it. His conversation, first about that she's not his type, and I'm so over him mentioning that she's not his normal type that he goes for. Who the fuck cares? That's not why you got. That's the part that irritates me. That's not why you got on Love Is Blind. You didn't get on Love Is Blind so that this body type, because you're looking for a specific body type. You got on Love Is Blind because you were looking for a connection. Focus on the connection, and clearly that's not what he was here for. Then he starts talking about her period, and she mentions that, they haven't been sexual. And I think this was the couple that I said was super sexual off bat, and I didn't think that they were going to make it. And then he goes, yeah, because you're on your period. She says, you can still touch me when I'm on my period. And he's just, gross. Oh my God, periods, women, ugh. Another person that maybe you should date a man. Just maybe you should date a man. But then he says something that's just so ignorant. He says, well, it's to my understanding that when you're on your period, you can get pregnant. And she's like, and the fact that she has to start telling him, I'll let you know when my period happens. And actually it's 2 weeks after my period that I'm ovulating. And he's like, well, how am I supposed to know? How am I supposed to know? Can you share your period in a tracker? What the fuck? Sir. No, she cannot. That's her body. What do you mean? I'm telling you, the men's. Because what do you mean a tracker? And then keep insisting until she has to say, I will let you know. You're like, no, can you just share with me? I will let you know when I'm on my period. Also, let's be real. You'll know. You'll know. If you don't know, you're not paying attention. If you don't know, you're not paying. I had a friend just tell me that she was like, really emotional and getting into it with her significant other, and her significant other was like, yeah, you're about to start your period. No, I'm not. No, I'm not. And the next day she started her period. You're just like, trust me, you'll know. Trust me, you'll know. Him gaslighting her, and I feel like he's creating problems so that he can leave. Feel like he's creating issues so that he can leave when the time comes and say, well, these were the problems and these were the issues, even though he's just making problems out of nowhere. And more interesting, he doesn't have a real job. He's talking about, oh, I have a possibility of a job here in Florida. I have a possibility of a job in Arizona. I have a possibility of soccer thing. She has a successful job. And another thing that he was criticizing her in this conversation was her job. And, she's saying, well, I'm going to learn more about it when I talk to my boss tomorrow. And he's like, because I don't want to stay. Sir, she has a successful job, and you want her to leave her successful job to follow you around the world for nothing. You have nothing guaranteed. And I get it. You want to live this nomadic life. Okay, cool, great. But you also say you want to settle down. You can live a nomadic life and her still have her job. You need her to have her job. You need her to have her job because you don't have a steady one. Somebody in this relationship got to have a steady job. Somebody, somewhere, maybe. They ended up meeting his mom too. Whatever. They're the same person. Douche. His exes about the only reason that this is important is his timeline about his exes. Terrible. That's when things start falling apart. And while they're falling apart, let's get into the night out. Ooh, that night out was everything and just a disaster. So before we get into that, let's just eat the first part. Kevin with A and Kia were both there. I loved the girls. The girls are just so cute. This season they're just so cute and just so supportive of each other. I love that for them. Kevin sits Kia down to try to have a conversation and try to backtrack into it, and Kia's just not here for it. And that was the best moment. Like, you thought that I clocked you a couple weeks ago and I told you that you weren't ready. You thought in 2 weeks you're going to be ready. No, you're not. So that was really enjoyable for me to get to watch and witness happen. It was non-significant. It was not a big part of the whole thing, but I didn't want to talk about it before we get into the real stuff. My first question, though, is that everybody seems so happy to see Vic and Christine. Are they just separate from, are they not? They're just separated from everything and everyone. And it feels sad. It feels sad that because they're viewed as the most stable couple, that they don't get the same treatment. And what does that say that you want? If the people who are performing or who are truly deeply in love with each other and are the least problematic are the people that you don't give them your money or your attention to. It's super weird. It says a lot about Love is Blind. It was interesting. Annoying parts is Chris. Amber clocking. Look, Chris showed up there and we're all just, everyone watching just had an epic eye roll. Like, haven't we had enough of him? Aren't we done with him? Can this be over? How do we make this over? Don't know. Chris was just, he was Hurricane Chris. He was just doing too much all over the place. And when Jessica starts telling Amber about everything that happened, she's like, man, fuck these pussy ass men. And the fact that she openly hates men, and she's been so consistent. And I love that for her. And you also hear Chris say, dudes are idiots. So you are the dudes. So, sir, it's you. Love this for him. But he goes off and is unhinged. You learn that right after he breaks up with Jessica, or Jessica breaks up with him, that same night, he starts an Instagram. He goes to a strip club. He slides in Bree's DMs, and it's just wild behavior. He starts plotting on Bree. He starts openly saying that he's gonna go for Bree and he doesn't care about Connor at all. He's like, Connor's my boy, but me and Bree, we're meant to be together. So I'm just about to come in and destroy this. And then after he does that, he tries to get Bree and I think it's Priyanka and Amber and Ashley on his side. And you could tell Amber's just so pissed off and not here. Amber is a girl's girl. She's not here for it. She had to have Jordan calm her down. And he called her crazy in front of Jordan. He says, yeah, well, everybody in the past were like, we don't want to date. We don't want to date Amber. We don't want to date Amber. Amber's so crazy. Amber's so crazy. But I'm so happy that you and Jordan got together. Get the fuck kindly. Exit stage, right? Or left, or front, or back, whatever you choose, just go. Why do you feel the need to tell Amber that everybody thought that she was crazy and that you thought that she was crazy for Jordan? Because no, it's disgusting. And the best moment that Amber got to clap back was she had said, you think you're going to get another hot doctor? And she leaves and Jordan follows. Jordan's young and I understand him not really knowing how to navigate that system. I've seen a lot of people comment on how they wish he would have stood up for her. Absolutely, for sure. But he's young. He doesn't know what to do. What do you like? He's young. He doesn't know what to do. And so, although it was hard to watch, he's young and he doesn't know what to do. But then after Amber leaves, he stays and he's talking to Ashley and he's talking to Priyanka and he's talking to Bree. And then the word of the day, Diabolical, he tells them that Jessica was the worst that he ever had. And y'all like to say shit about me when I talk about men and men plotting and men doing shit. Again, he tells not even boy talk. He tells the girls, because really he's plotting on Bree. He tells the girls she's the worst I've ever had. He says this on national, again, because we're Netflix at this point, we're international TV. And his obsession with Pilates is weird, and his obsession with Bree is weirder, because two of the girls, Priyanka and Ashley, excused themselves because they started to see that Connor was really feeling Bree, and they leave. And that conversation was hard to watch. And so many people are going to say, why didn't Bree leave? Why didn't Bree defend Jessica anymore? And she did apologize for it, but she looks visibly comfortable. She looks like, and it seems like there's a lot of editing at play, because at the very end, when she walks away from the conversation, he makes a comment and it feels like she gave him more, but they didn't edit it that way. And remember, it's a reality TV show. A lot of things are about editing. And he starts lying about Connor and trying to break them up, and how he said that, so I decided that Jessica was my number one. And then Connor goes, okay, then I'm going to make Brie my number one, instead of, trying to make her feel like she was Connor's second choice or Connor's consolation prize. And these boys were just passing around women like fucking trophies. And he's doing this as a tactic to get Brie. And let me tell you, if a man is trying to break down another man or break down another person to get with you, don't do it. Run away so quickly, because this person is not a good person. And he just starts spiraling and getting out of control. And then drunk out of his mind, Chris, after he has this really uncomfortable conversation, which, by the way, he's talking to Bree sexually. He's insinuating that they should leave. He's saying that he's her type. He's telling her that he has a hotel room. He's telling her all these things. They should run away together. All of these things. And Bree is just like, but she's not like, yeah. She's like, her whole face is constricted. Like, after he does all of this, after he just gaslights, dogs Jessica, dogs Connor, does all of this drama and bullshit, he goes and talks to Jessica, drunk out of his mind, trying to get Jessica back. Lying after everything he said about her body, after everything he's done. And this man still says, you look great, you look beautiful, you're gorgeous, I am attractive to you. And then he's trying to defend, I'm just honest and you just couldn't handle my honesty. I love the way that Jessica held strong, and he's like, I feel like we want to have a conversation or we should meet up. And she's like, I don't need to. I'm done with this situation. Wholly and truly so glad that she was that way. Like, I'm so glad that she didn't fall for his bullshit, because everybody around them, while they're out to this bowling arcade alley or whatever, they're watching him just Hurricane Chris around everything. And everyone's like, what the? Like, you can hear people having conversations like, Chris is so drunk. What is he doing? It's just so awkward. And the way that he treats Jessica and then tries to lie, like, you could have contacted me. Sir, you could have contacted me? You didn't come. The inability to take accountability and responsibility, all of those abilities for his own decisions and actions, and him being mad because he wanted to be mean and emotionally abusive and she didn't take it. Sir. Sir. But he wasn't the only one, guys. He wasn't the only one doing crazy shit, because here comes Alex. So we find out that Alex and Priyanka know each other. And Alex says in his confessionals how, he really likes Pri, and he didn't want to let anybody know because he wanted Pri to just have a chance at love. And it all comes to change when Priyanka starts clocking him about how all of his lies just start to unfold like a beautiful tapestry of bullshit. And he is just, then he gets mad. So they start talking about Travel Nurse, because there's two big relationships in Alex's life. It's Travel Nurse and Chicago Girl. And what he originally told Ashley was that Travel Nurse wasn't anything serious. And then she moved to Arizona. And when he visited Arizona for a little bit, he was there to see her, but also there to do other stuff. And they hung out. And she, originally she was clocking him on the timelines and everything else, how he broke up with this one girl. And then the week later, he was with Travel Nurse. And he made it then to Priyanka. Priyanka's like, oh, yeah, you were living in Arizona for a while. And Ashley's like, what? And Alex is like, I feel attacked. I feel attacked. And Priyanka is just not letting up. She's like, yeah, you told me that you did this, and you went there to see this girl and everything, and you were there for a while and you guys were in a relationship. But I thought that, and then he starts explaining, he's like, yeah, well, I did stay there for a while. And she's like, I thought that you were staying there. And she wasn't there. He's like, well, no, actually she was. And then Ashley says, well, why didn't you just tell me this? Well, I it just looked bad and it sounded bad, and I just wanted to avoid something like this. That's how you know a man's lying. When he says, I wanted to avoid something like this, you wanted to avoid the consequences of your own actions. You wanted to be a fuck boy. And it backfired. So sorry. Can't. And then he can't handle it. Ashley's trying to be like, just tell me. She's being really honest. Like, I'm fair. If you did something, just tell me. Be honest. That man is what is the word I'm looking for? A habitual liar. That man is a habitual liar. He can't be honest, sweetie. He can't. He's cornered and he's just creating lies on top of his lies. None of us will ever know the truth about him. Probably ever. Oh, I can't wait for the reunion. We're still not gonna get the truth. I hope they Netflix. How do we match our level of petty? What I need you to do, Netflix, is I need you to reach out to Travel Nurse and give us the details. This is why I either should or shouldn't be on reality TV shows. Give us the details. But so eventually he starts to feel attacked, and he just pounces on Priyanka. And I felt so bad because he's clearly annoyed. And so he starts snapping on her. It's like, I thought you were my friend. And she's like, I am your friend, but I'm a girl's motherfucking girl. I'm not about to sit here and watch you dog this girl while you lying about this and you lying to me. And how are we supposed to be friends if I don't even know what's going on in your life either? It's just so much. Also, the way that he referred to Priyanka, she's a part of my friend group. She's around my friend circles. Bitch, your friend. Shut the fuck up. The man's a liar. The man's a liar. The man's a liar. Get him off my screen, cuz the man's a liar. He's a terrible person. And he's a liar. Get him off my screen, cuz the man's a liar. Done. He hates being questioned. He hates having to have accountability. He hates anybody asking him for whatever. Anything whatsoever. He absolutely hates it. He hates to see it coming. And I hate to see him come and go, but I love to watch him leave. I'm gonna steal that from Lil Wayne real quick. or what is it? I hate to see him go, but I love to. That wasn't Lil Wayne. I think that was Tyga. I hate to see him go, but I love to watch him leave. But I love him keep. It probably wasn't even Tyga. I don't even know, but I love to watch him leave, and not because he's attracted. I just get to stop hearing his voice. I just have his voice just stops when he leaves, and I love that. But all right, that's about as far as we're gonna go. I did get into the wedding try-ons, and honestly, the dresses were beautiful, but there wasn't much to it. There wasn't much that we learned about it. There wasn't much gained from it. You know, the girls were more emotional than the boys, but other than just learning a couple of basic things, there just wasn't much to it. So I did stop at the last episode. The last episode is the final dates. The final dates before they say I do. And there's a couple more issues that, of course, are going to come up specifically between Alex and Ashley. And then next Wednesday, they are dropping the episodes, the last two episodes, hopefully. And I'm gonna have to watch them before I record this. And it's gonna be sucky, but I'm still gonna do it. But it's gonna be sucky. But it doesn't make sense for me to watch the last date episode and comment on it. That really feels like it's gonna be a part of part C to me. Obviously they do it differently so they can get you kind of really engaged in guessing, but covering wise, it doesn't feel like it makes sense. So we're stopping here and we'll get to the last couple of parts for the next episode. But overall, let me tell you, I think love is blind when you ask the right questions. I think love is blind when you know what you're looking for. I do not think that love is blind when you're just out there slanging, just slaying it. You really have to know what questions to ask, what's important to you as you grow further, and also be willing to walk away. Shout out to Tyler and Kia and Jessica for being willing to walk away from a situation that was not beneficial for them and was not going to work for them. I love this for them. And they provided a beautiful example for women and men that when something isn't benefiting you, you don't have to stay. You don't have to stay in it. When someone's emotionally abusing you, you don't have to stay. You don't have to do any of this. You can, in fact, just leave. So, on that note, though, we will be covering the rest of it later, and we're going to be getting into March. So, let's look at the calendar, guys. Let's look at the calendar. I need to start putting these TV shows. I actually used to have an actual check mark on my calendar that was TV shows, and I need to start putting them on my calendar again. I think I'm going to add them to basically Unbother's calendar, but we're coming out. So the last of the Love is Blind comes out on March 4th. Then we have the reunion, of course. Thursday, the 12th, we're supposed to be getting Secret Lives of Mormon Wives. Oh, I can't wait. I'll probably try to break those into two parts, how they usually do the whole season, but I fucking can't wait. I'm so excited. I'm so excited. March is going to be exciting because not only do we have that, but then we have The Bachelorette, and I am working on something for you guys. The Bachelorette is supposed to come out on the 22nd, I believe, and which works perfectly for me and my schedule. I can't wait to start watching that and give you guys my insights. Also, the Traders reunion is getting ready to drop soon, really soon, really soon after me recording this. And I don't care about the Traders. I don't care about how it ends. You guys don't even know how happy I am that I'm not recovering that show anymore. But I am excited to see this reunion. So that is going to be on my list tonight. So you guys might get another two weeker soon. Usually I have to do the 2 weekers when I have to go to drill weekend because it's just easier to do that than schedule with other people and work through that. So you might be getting, let's see, you're probably going to get next Thursday. You might be getting 3 episodes at once. I'm so sorry. Lo siento. I apologize. I'm working on it. We'll see. We'll see how it plays out, but expect something soon. And if you're like, no, but I want more basically unbothered just as is, don't worry. I got something coming. I got something coming for you guys. Just stay tuned. All right. I will talk to you guys next time. Thank you for watching or listening to Basically Unbothered. Don't forget to check us out on our social media, Basically Unbothered Podcast, on TikTok and on Instagram. We're also on YouTube Shorts. Also, don't forget to listen and subscribe, star, review, tell your friends about it, all the jazz. And I will see you next time. Bye.